on this day, in this hour, in these times, to stand.
Yes, Lord.
Here we are, God, we're standing before you and we're waiting for a word from you. Speak, your children are listening. God, as you've fallen, don't leave us. God, fall afresh and afresh and afresh until lives are saved, lives are changed. Hide us that you might shine. For it is in the name of your Son Jesus that we pray. Amen. Now give God one more praise. Turn with me, if you will, to the book of Psalms. Psalm 139. Y'all, we serve such a mighty God, such a good God. Psalm 139. From those verses read for your hearing, both at the beginning and of the service and for the song of preparation, two verses of scripture, verses 23 and 24. Psalm 139, verses 23 and 24, where we find these words. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Amen. I want to talk to you today about how to change your world for the better in 2 simple steps. Now, I could talk to you about how to change the world, but that would take more than 2 steps. So I want to talk to you about how to change your world. Because your world can change for the better in 2 simple steps. Your work can be more productive, and your relationships can be more fulfilling. Your family life can be less stressful, your money less funny, and your time better spent. Your thoughts can stay in tune, and your emotions can stay intact. Your mind can be more focused and your actions more fruitful. Your talk can be on point, your walk on purpose, your praise more joyful, your prayers more powerful, your service more meaningful. Your world can change for the better in 2 simple steps. The 139th psalmist had some issues. He had some issues with the way things were going in his life. Issues with the way things were going in his world. And because of this, he had some issues with God. It's not like he didn't know God. It's not like he didn't love God. It's not like he didn't serve God. In fact, for the first 18 verses of this 24-verse psalm, that's the first 3 stanzas of a 4-stanza hymn. That is the first 3/4 of this man's song. He does nothing but praise the name of the Lord. In verses 1 through 6, he says, Lord, I praise you because you know me so well. In fact, it says, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You know my going out and my staying in the evening. God, you know every word on my tongue before it touches my tongue. God, I've got to praise you because you know all my ways. In verses 7 through 12, he is saying, I praise you because you're always with me. He says, God, I cannot escape your presence if I wanted to. If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, you are there. If I settle on the far side of the sea, even there, one hand will hold me and the other hand, God will guide me. God, I've got to praise you because you're always with me. In verses 13 through 18, he says, I praise you because you're both made me and you hold my future. God, he says, you created me in my innermost beings. God, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, he says, because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. He says, you were there to see my unformed body in my mother's womb, and you will be there in the end, because all the days in my book have been written in your book before one of them came to be. In other words, God, you are my source and my destiny. God, you're where I come from and you're where I'm going. God, you're my beginning and my end. God, I praise you. God, because you're the one who started it all, and God, you're going to be there to finish it all at the end line. But God, if I could, Lord, if I could just bring up this one issue. God, if I could just say this one thing. God, I've just got this problem. God, if I dare, can I just complain about this one thing? God, if you take care of this one thing, my world will be all right. And he says in verse 19, God, if only you would slay. That means kill the wicked. He is asking God to kill the wicked. In verse 21, he says, I hate those who hate you. Lord, I abhor those, he says, who rebel against you. In verse 22, he says, I have nothing but hatred for them. Y'all remember that song, I got nothing but love for you? Yeah. He's saying, I got nothing but hatred for them. I count them, he says at the end of the verse, as my enemies. There's his issue. God, why are you so good? But the world you made is filled with so much that is and so many that are so wrong. God, why don't you just fix this thing by going ahead and kill the wicked? Y'all, I don't know why the Holy Spirit chose to allow such raw emotion in the Holy Scripture. When we hear such ugly truth coming from a rapper, we criticize them and say they're violent. This was a rapper, we would slap a parent advisory on it and say that's too violent for young ears. J. Cole, complaining about the posers around him, got real with his feelings and said, I'm dreaming violent. I can't tolerate this loyalty. So I'm going to see you when I see you. Know the day's coming. I pray that on that day you slip up and say something. I never fantasize about murder because I'm still sane, but I can't seem to fight the urge to make you feel pain. I know that vengeance is the Lord's, and that's not for me. I know the punishment for you is that you're not with me. But that's a rap. All right. This is a hymn. That's a hip hop artist. This is a praise leader. And not just any praise leader. This is David. This is David who danced before the Lord with all his might. This is David who sang, I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praise shall continually be upon my mouth. This is David who sang, I love the Lord. He heard my cry and inclined his ear unto me. Yet from these same lips comes this prayer. If only, God, you would kill them. I have nothing but hatred for them. I count them as my enemies. I don't pretend to know the mind of God, but I do know this. If your religion leads you to hate anybody, you didn't get that religion from the God we serve. This isn't David's faith talking. This is David's emotions talking. David was a man after God's own heart, but this wasn't God's heart talking. This is David's heart left unguarded talking. This isn't David's best, but when he wrote it, when he sang it, this was David's truth. I don't pretend to know the mind of God, but I do know this, that it was in the process of being so raw, so real, so honest, that David found the answer that would change his world for the better. It is when David gets real with God about what he is feeling towards those on the outside that he comes face to face with what's going on the inside. I don't know if David catches himself or if God smacked David upside the head to remind David of all the times that it was him. Of all the times that it was him who seemed wicked and bloodthirsty. Of all the times it was him who acted with evil intent. Of all the times it was him who was rebellious against God. However it happened, whether David came to himself or whether God had to smack David, in the middle of his rant about those around him, David is given the prayer that can change his world regardless of all those around him. He prays in the final two verses, "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." God, while I'm complaining about everyone around me, search me. God, while I'm groaning about the wickedness surrounding me, know my heart. God, while I'm accusing everybody else, test me. God, while I'm busy trying to figure out what's wrong with them, know my anxious thoughts. God, while I'm busy pointing out their wicked ways, see if there is any offensive way in me. God, while I keep running down the dead end of trying to change other people, lead me in the way everlasting. Here's what I know. Changing your world starts on the inside. Another young rapper said it this way. He said, "Can't change the world unless we change ourselves. Die from the sickness if we don't seek the health." Mahatma Gandhi said it this way. He said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And couched within this short radical prayer, if you dare make this prayer your own, are two easy steps to change your world for the better. In a world where we often can't figure out other people, the psalmist turns to God who knows him, who surrounds him, who made him, who is waiting for him at the finish line, and says to that God, "Search me." Which, when you think about it, is kind of a funny request. Why would you ask God in verse 23 to search you when you already confessed in verses 1 through 6 that God already has searched you and knows you thoroughly? Because what the psalmist is asking is for God, who has already searched him, to continue to search him. But from now on, God, take me on with the ride. God, I need you to take me on a tour of myself. So God, next time you go, please let me ride along. And the first stop on the tour is his own heart. He prays in verse 23, "Search me, God, and know my heart." If you want to change the world, the first thing you must do is come to know your own heart. What the Bible calls the heart is like a well that holds your motives, your desires, your hopes, your longings, your dreams, your ambitions, and your affections. The Bible calls the heart the wellspring of life. But if the well is fed by a polluted stream, then all else in life becomes poisonous and deadly. So David prays, "Search me. Take me on a tour, God, of my own heart. Show me the hopes that move me. Show me the dreams that inspire me. Show me the ambitions that drive me. Show me what needs to be purged. And God, show me what is there that looks like you and needs to be nurtured and fed. Church, let me hear you say, search me. Search me. Better be careful what you ask God. Some of us can hide stuff from God for decades. God starts searching us now. Don't tell him what falls out of our heart. But you got to be searched. If you want to change your world, you got to begin with your heart. And you have to say, God, search me. Know my heart. Psalms asked God to search him. Then he asked God, test me. Look, I'm not asking you to talk to your neighbor. I'm not asking you to talk to God. I want you to talk to God. Let me hear you say, test me. You better be careful what you ask God. Look, when we ask God to test us, we better be ready for the lesson and ready to receive the lesson that God has for us. Somebody said trials make us strong, but they only make us strong if we are willing to receive their lessons. Trials are tests that reveal the strengths you never knew you had, or the faults you never wanted to confess. And when engineers want to know if a structure is weak or strong, they give it what they call a stress test. Y'all remember that last financial meltdown we had in 2008? When the banks were supposedly too big to fail. So the government said, well, we'll let all them fail and we'll make sure the banks do okay. Well, after that, they created what they call stress tests for the banks, so that they can catch it ahead of time. No, you're weak here. And they would take the bank through a test to make sure that they can stand up to the stress. Trials in our lives are nothing more than stress tests. They only do you service if you're willing to take the lesson. So don't ask God to test you unless you want the lesson. The psalmist prays, Lord, test me and know my anxious thoughts. God, help me know the thoughts that the troubles of this world bring my way. God, help me know when I'm responding out of fear rather than faith. God, help me know when I'm responding out of hurt rather than wholeness. God, help me know when I'm responding out of anger rather than love. God, test me. Psalmist asked God to search me, then to test me. Then he asked God to see me. He says, see if there is any offensive way in me. God, see if there's any offensive way. He uses that word if not to suggest that there's any chance on earth that there might not be an offensive way. No, I guarantee you there are offensive ways in each and every one of us. He says if to help us understand that we must bring this question to every situation in our lives, to every encounter, to every decision, to every action. The psalmist is saying, God, help me to be so in tune with you that I might see myself through your eye. Not just during my morning devotion, but in every action throughout the day. Because I can see myself clearly at morning devotion. It's when somebody gets in my face at 12 noon that I don't know what I'm doing. And that is why the psalmist says, if. God, if there is any offensive way. God, I need an if on every one of my actions. God, was I acting offensively there? God, help me check out that moment. If there is any offensive way, I've got to check it every time. Even when I think I'm doing good, I can't let not one action escape God's watchful eye. That is why the word tells us to pray without ceasing. Because you got to be in devotion every day of your life so that you can bring the if to every day of your life. God, help me to see myself when I encounter my neighbor. Help me to see myself when I greet my coworker. Help me to see myself when I greet that teenager in the drive. said we could change our world in 2 easy steps, but that's 3 steps. Somebody else is saying, yeah, them 3 ain't easy. Well, first of all, those 3 things, that's step 1. Second of all, in saying easy, I don't mean easy as in not hard. I mean easy as in not complicated. You can say that real easy. You know the steps real easy. And you don't have to get confused about the steps. Well, should I ask God to search me? You know that? Shall I ask God to test? No, you know that. Shall I ask God to say, it ain't complicated. But that doesn't mean it's not. Doesn't take effort. Doesn't take determination. Doesn't take faithfulness, persistence, consistency, and drive. You have to wait every morning. God, search me, test me, see me. You have to go through each step of your day. God, search me, test me, see me. You have to end your day with this prayer on your lips. God, search me, test me, see me. That's step 1. The psalmist says, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me. And then the psalmist says, and lead me in the way everlasting. That's step 2. Step 1, God, show me my ways. God, show me my ways. Search me, test me, see me. God, show me my ways, so that my ways may not get in my way. God, show me my ways, so that my ways will not get in the way of my loved ones. God, show me my ways, so that my ways will not get in the way of those with whom I work, and those whom I lead, and those whom I serve. God, show me my ways. My ways may not get in the way of my testimony for you. God, show me my ways. And then, God, lead me in your way. God, lead me in the way everlasting. God, show me my ways and lead me in your ways. Way, right, the Proverbs said that thing was trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct